Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Survivor's Remorse Season 4, Episode 1, which was titled Fallout. So I've never recapped this show before, so this is new. And Tashina Arnold used to be very active on Periscope, and she would talk about, filming for the show Survivor's Remorse. And I had never heard of the show before, didn't know what channel it came on. So I figured, maybe it comes on Netflix or something, So she would talk about the show as if everyone following her knew what she was talking about. So I never knew exactly, so I knew she had this show, but I didn't know what the show was about or anything. So then I downloaded the Stars app to watch Power this season and saw that the show Survivor's Remorse was one of their shows. And so I was like, okay, so I binge watched the first 3 seasons and I really liked it. And so I started watching the new season, and I wasn't really sure I was going to recap it because even though I liked the show, the one character, Mary Charles, like when she get to talking in them long dialogues and be talking all fast with that northern accent, I'd be willing to like turn the TV off. But overall I liked the show, and I liked how they started out and they were talking about the dynamics of the father figure. And so I was talking to my daughter and her best friend, and I was talking to them about, their relationships with their father, because my daughter, her dad lives right up the street and they like rarely ever talk, because he feels like, well, she should call me sometimes, and then she only calls when she wants something, so that he feels like he's being used. And then her friend, he was talking about, he said, well, I don't really like my dad that much. And I was like, you do like your dad? And he was like, well, it's just a whole lot that be going on, So basically they both feel like they're adults now, so they don't really need that father relationship, and which is so crazy to me because I needed my daddy until the second he took his last breath. So I don't understand why my daughter acts the way that she does. But I know that deep down inside she really loves her dad. So basically this season of Survivor's Remorse is dealing with the relationship between the different characters and their fathers. So let's go ahead and jump into the recap for episode 1. So for those of you who have never watched the show, like I had never watched the show, it explores issues that arise when a family, goes from being poor to suddenly having a lot of money. And the character Cam, he's a professional basketball player, and he signed a deal with a team in Atlanta. And so he brings his mom, his sister, and his cousin, and the cousin is his agent, and then the cousin's wife. And so together, it's just showing the dynamics of their relationships. And Michael Epps was on the show, but they killed him off last season. And I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe they did that. It was so, because it's not really a drama and it's not really a comedy. So when you see a character get killed on the show that's like a mixture of them both, it's kind of like really surprising. So I don't know if he was having some contract issues or what, but it was just like he got hit by a truck. He was reaching for, I think he dropped his phone or something. No, he dropped his joint, and he was reaching for it, and he got hit by a semi. So, normally when they kill you off like that on the show, it's because of a contract dispute. So at the end of season 3, Mary Charles learns that she was the product of a gang rape, and she borrowed Chen's plane to go to Boston to get to the bottom of the matter and to find her biological father so she can F him up for raping her mother. And, basically she was going to extract some revenge on the lowlifes that raped her mom. So season 4 opens with Mary Charles, and she's at this guy, his name is Cousin Pookie, and she's at his place, and she's begging him to tell her the truth about what happened, to her mom the night that she was raped. And the reason that Mary Charles goes to him is because, like I say, Uncle Julius, which is so sad because my dad's name was Julius. So Uncle Julius, died in the car accident, and So Pookie is the only one that's left alive other than her mother that knows exactly what happened. And then Cassie has no intentions, of reliving that night. And she's telling Mary Charles to let it go. I decided to keep you. I raised you. You turned out great, and I'm thinking like that can't be something easy for her to have to relive. Like it was hard enough that she kept the baby. Then she had to look at the baby every day, being reminded, that the man who fathered her child was somebody that raped her. I thought it was kind of selfish for Mary Charles to want Cassie to give her that information, but then on the other side, I would understand the need to want to know who your father is. So Cassie and her boyfriend Chen, they had went to Shanghai, so they're still in Shanghai with his parents, and that was a whole funny situation. Talking about a culture shock. Like the parents would be talking in Chinese, and then Cassie doesn't understand Chinese. So then Chen, who's supposed to be interpreting what they're saying to Cassie, they're basically talking about Cassie, cussing her out, and then he's telling her, oh, they really like you, they really love what you're doing, they think you're this, you think you're beautiful. And I'm just like, Lord, girl, you better get you one of them translators. I think they have an app where the app will tell you what the people are saying. So Cassie, you got to be smarter than that, girl. She's trying to live her best life now and leave the past in the past, but eventually she gives in and tells Pookie, that he has her permission to share what happened, on that night, and he can share as much or as little of the information that he wants to. So we learned that Cassie, was raped by two brothers and their cousin at a party that they had gone to on Long Island. And then we also learned that once Uncle Julius found out that she had been raped, that he killed the three people. It's just like, oh my God, Uncle Julius was vicious. So Mary Charles convinces Pookie into driving from Boston to Long Island in the middle of the night to take her to the graves of three men that raped her mother because she needed proof that they were really dead. And so he agrees and decides to take her. So then we move over to Cam, and Cam has decided to connect with his father, and his father's name is Rodney Barker, and so he's been serving time in Massachusetts since he was 17 years old. And it took me forever to figure out who Rodney was in real life, and it turned out to be Isaiah Washington. So he is aging quite gracefully, because when he was on Grey's Anatomy, I thought he was so unattractive, but in his older age, he's looking kind of hot. So when the two of them meet, for the first time in the prison waiting room, his prison issued garb is pressed and pristine, so he probably one of them brothers, that's really smart and be, talking to the other brothers, educating them on life and resistance and all of this. So, he's wearing the cuffy and everything, and now in middle age, Rodney's not as dangerous, I guess, as Cam thought he was, and he's not a thug either. So he's just biding his time, probably reading a whole bunch of books and exploring stuff on the internet. Probably done got a couple of degrees off the taxpayers and all that stuff. But he's obviously hurt that his first meeting with his son is in the prison, and now both, his son is a grown man now. So I'm thinking that he must have went. So if he was 17 when he went to jail, I wonder, see, something ain't adding up because Cam is in his early 20s. Okay, I guess that makes sense. That makes sense. So Cam was probably a baby when he went to prison. So anyway, we learned that Rodney wrote to Cam from prison all the time, but Cassie kept the letters away from him and never gave them to him. And of course, Cam, doesn't believe Rodney because he doesn't think that his mother would have been that deceitful. So Rodney tells him, I'm not going to argue with you. Just go to your mama, ask her about the letters, and pretty much, we don't have nothing else to discuss. Like, either she tell you I sent the letters or she lie and say I didn't send the letters, but that's on you, son. So Cassie admits, that she received the letters, but the family was evicted in a blizzard and she left them behind. So I guess she was like storing them up in the ceiling or something. So Cassie, kept the letters from him because she was afraid that Cam would want to meet his dad one day. And she told him that he was the type of kid who would have committed a crime just to go to prison to be with his dad. And, if Cassie believed that, Cam would have wanted to meet his dad, why didn't she take him to the prison? It wasn't like it was a federal prison and he's all in another state or across the country, but he had to be close by, like within driving distance for them to maintain a relationship. So Cassie, you were wrong for that. So as the episode unfolds, it becomes clear that everyone from Mary Charles to Cam to Reggie to Missy, like everybody is juggling different issues with their parents. And so I think this is like an interesting take on the show, that we get to explore the different dynamics of absentee fathers, or even, well, mainly absentee fathers, but the different reasons that fathers are absent from their children's lives. And then even with Missy, who grew up with her dad, they still have this strained relationship. So both Reggie and Missy's efforts to compartmentalize their relationships with their parents are clearly starting to bleed over into their marriage. So Reggie's going to have to rethink, whether he wants to have a relationship with his father, Trent, who's a recovering alcoholic, who's been sober for, I think, 5 years. And so back in Atlanta, Reggie is upset that Missy continues to push a relationship, with his dad, when he's told her over and over and over that he doesn't want to have a relationship with his dad. And Missy, she found this picture, so she take the picture to the punching bag. I don't know. So he was all upset about that, and then she took the picture. I think he tore the picture and she taped the picture back together and hid it away in a book, because she's like me, like really pushing, like you should have a relationship with your father. There's so many people who want relationships with their parents and can't have relationships. And here you are like holding on to the past. But Reggie grew up with a lot of abuse and then neglect, and the father leaving and being gone for years and that type of stuff. So I think it's just like a hard thing to deal with when you've gone through so much with a person, to just forgive them and open your arms and believe that they really have changed this time, when all the other times you believe they changed, they hadn't changed. So we learned that, even though Reggie is good at managing other people's lives, he's horrible with managing his own. And not so much not managing it, he manages it in different ways, because he's like a very controlling person. And so whereas he controls Cam's money and decisions that he makes, he's like controlling how he's going to deal with the situation with his father and holding on to his anger and his bitterness. So there's a whole lot to deal with, and it can mess you up if you hold on to that stuff for too long. So Reggie decides that he's going to go and meet with his dad and talk to him and see what it is that he wants. But, he's going to let his dad know under no uncertain terms is he to be contacting him, contacting his wife, and he just wants him to go away and to leave them alone. And so he gets to the restaurant, and he is just like being blatantly disrespectful to this man, and just was went too far out of his way to punish his dad, for not being a better person and a better father, and the dad, like I said, is a recovering alcoholic, recovering drug addict, which means that it's just, they say that all of that is a disease, and you got to really want to be able to let it go and put those things down. So it's a whole lot for them to deal with, but I think that Reggie's reaction shows that he still loves his dad, that he's just afraid to open up and give him another chance for fear that, he's going to get hurt again. So meanwhile, Missy, she's frustrated with Reggie's inner turmoil over Trent, and wrangling with her own parents who getting on her nerves because they're so highfalutin and sedity. So her reasons for keeping them at bay, aren't that different from Reggie's. She wants to protect him from her mother's classism and feels that, her mother, I guess, would be abusive in the terms that she's not accepting of Reggie because Reggie isn't good enough for her daughter. And so she calls her parents, seeking advice on what she should do about the whole Reggie situation. And then the mom, she isn't paying any attention, that her daughter is upset and thinks that her marriage is falling apart and that she may, lose her husband. So the dad eventually takes the phone and, lets her know that things are going to work out for the better and that her marriage will be stronger than ever, once they get over this hurdle. So as her awkward, and I have to correct something because I don't think Missy's issue is with her mom. It's not with the dad. So I think she has a good relationship with her dad. It's her mom that gets on her nerves. So as her awkward phone conversation unfolds with her parents, Reggie has stormed out of the restaurant, leaving Trent, with a warning once again to stay away from his wife and never contact them again. So this fool goes out in the parking lot and he opens his door and he hits the car next to him. So the guy gets out of the car, he said, "Oh, you gonna pay for that, you gonna pay for that, you hit my car," and everything. So two of them get to arguing. So then this lady crawls out of the car, and so then she starts yelling at him. So the Reggie's like, "Oh, this is crazy." So he pulls out some money. He's like, "How much is it gonna cost? 100, 200? So he's like flipping the money off in a very disrespectful way. Then next thing we know, that car was like a clown car because then all these people start getting out the car and they jump Reggie. And then Trent runs out and sees that, Reggie's getting beat up. So he jumps into the fight. And so Reggie taking on two of them. Trent taking on two of them. And then somebody breaks a bottle and hits Reggie over the back of his head. So then the people all run and jump back in the car and they speed off. Reggie, he wants to go home and tells Trent once again, like, get out of my life. Like, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. So Trent tells him, I can't let you go because you're bleeding. You got a bad gash in the back of your head. You need to go to the hospital. So he finally convinces Reggie to let him take him to the hospital. So when they take Reggie back to examine him, Trent calls Missy after Reggie says, "Don't call my wife anymore." So he calls Missy, lets her know what happened. So that's it for me, guys. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about the show. Do you watch the show? Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I shall talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.